Hello everyone and welcome to the center of the universe once again. What a chaotic week it was. The penultimate week before WrestleMania is in the bag, and now we are going to take the opportunity to reflect back on all that happened in the prior week of chaos in the WWE. Starting things off on Monday Night Raw, it was a return to the Firefly Funhouse for Bray Wyatt and co. as they took the opportunity to declare what would happen to The Undertaker come WrestleMania at the hands of The Fiend in what will be his final match. Bray Wyatt certainly had the ego about him, but that ego was taken away when the dead man himself arrived at the Firefly Funhouse and stared Bray Wyatt down. Wyatt would banish him back into the ring before making a declaration towards Undertaker that should he have chosen to retire at WrestleMania, perhaps he should have run it by with those closest to him, meaning his family and the Big Red Machine, Kane. Kane would return to the WWE for the first time in a number of years and deliver back-to-back chokeslams to his brother, laying him down but certainly not out as the dead man rose back up to his feet and demanded one final match on Monday Night Raw against the Big Red Machine himself. Have the mind games worked for Bray Wyatt and The Fiend, though, as we head into WrestleMania? Elsewhere on Monday Night Raw, it was a big task for the King of the Ring, Pete Dunne, as he wanted to show that he was more than capable of taking the World Heavyweight Championship away from Roman Reigns when they meet at WrestleMania. Tanahashi, being one of Reigns' biggest rivals, certainly gave Dunne an incredibly tough fight from top to bottom. However, the ace would succumb to the wrath of Pete Dunne, being caught out of the air in the attempted high-fly flow into what would be the bitter pill, before the bitter end would put the ace away and give Dunne a big momentous victory. However, the celebrations would be short-lived as Roman Reigns would arrive with the World Heavyweight Championship, smashing it across the head of Dunne and declaring once again that there is nothing personal in their WrestleMania bout. Reigns looked for the spear but couldn't connect with it on Dunne, who himself could not connect with the bitter end on Roman Reigns, leaving the two WrestleMania opponents standing face to face with the World Championship between them. But who will claim that gold at WrestleMania? King or Chief? When we move to SmackDown, we kick things off with a very braggadocious Jay White taking the opportunity to soak in everything that happened on the prior episode of SmackDown between Robert Roode and Kazuchika Okada, and declaring the end of the era of Okada was on its way at WrestleMania, and it would be time to breathe in the new era with Switchblade Jay White. However, White didn't get to enjoy the entire moment as Robert Roode himself would make his way down to the ramp, only to be interrupted by Kazuchika Okada, who would confront him and demand to know why he was laid out in the ring at the end of last week by Robert Roode. Roode would not give him an answer. Instead, it would be a fight at ringside, one in which Okada would stand tall in, demanding the answer from Roode yet again. However, he made a vital mistake, turning his back on his WrestleMania opponent in Jay White, who would deliver back-to-back Blade Runners and leave Okada down on the mat once again before delivering the phrase, "Breathe with the Switchblade." White's mental games are being played to a pitch-perfect tee, as Robert Roode would later on say in the show that if Okada wants to hear why Roode assaulted him, he could face him next week on SmackDown and find out for himself. Elsewhere on the show, the savior Ricochet would make his way into the building and said that he had heard enough of Ciampa attempting to blame him for Moxley being added to the triple threat by having their one-on-one match next week on SmackDown. Ciampa's response would come at the end of the show, assaulting Intercontinental Champion Kota Ibushi, who was preparing to confront his WrestleMania opponent Kevin Owens. This would draw out Ricochet himself, and the fight was on. A fight that Ricochet would stand atop in for the first time with a Save Yourself onto the WWE Champion. However, his celebrations were short-lived as Moxley himself would arrive into the ring, delivering a paradigm shift onto Ricochet once again, before laying out Tommaso Ciampa as well. Ciampa and Ricochet may certainly have the bit between their teeth with one another, and the fight may be on for next week, but the question still remains, are they two focused on one another and not on Death Rider? As for ECW, we opened the show with Seth Rollins, who would take the opportunity to soak in the fact that the match at WrestleMania will finally happen between himself and Coren. However, Rollins seemed a little bit hesitant, suggesting that he had put ECW in the balance for this upcoming match and would apologize for whatever may happen to ECW come the grandest stage of them all. Rollins seemed quite apologetic, but I don't think anyone could have foresaw what was on its way next, as Diamond Dallas Page, the greatest rival Seth Rollins has ever had, returned to ECW for the first time in almost 3 years, staring face to face with the man who retired him. DDP would take the opportunity to say that the Seth Rollins that stood in this ring was not the Seth Rollins who retired him, was not the Seth Rollins who broke the records, but that he could still sense that Rollins inside of him, and he needed to be that Rollins if he wanted to be Coren at WrestleMania, because as Diamond Dallas Page put it, when that Seth Rollins stepped into that ring, it didn't matter who, when, or what he fought, because he was the greatest of all time. Diamond Dallas Page would make one more declaration towards Rollins, asking him to, and I quote, beat the shit out of Coren for everyone who has crossed him. What a momentous moment it was to see DDP and Rollins sharing a ring for what may well be the final time, and perhaps the wake-up call that Seth Rollins needed heading into WrestleMania. We hope that our heads could be held high with that DDP return. However, where we see happiness, Coren sees opportunity. At the end of the show, he would walk out on the ramp with Diamond Dallas Page on his shoulders. Rollins would charge into the ring attempting to make a brave save, but he fell into the clutches of the Clockwork Project, who would lay him out and force him to watch, as Coren made his intentions known towards Seth Rollins. He said that the Clockwork Conspiracy was about to come to its end, and that at WrestleMania he would finally get his hands on the kingpin of it all. However, he said that last week he was right. Rollins made him crack, and for that, there must be punishment, alluding to Diamond Dallas Page. This, however, would draw ire with the chairman of the WWE, Vince McMahon, who would have Coren trying to broker a deal with him, where he demanded the main event of the second night at WrestleMania, and no contact between himself or any member of ECW. McMahon would agree on the basis that there would be no Clockwork Project at WrestleMania, and that in turn, Coren wouldn't put his hands on anyone else, and put Diamond Dallas Page down. Coren agreed, but what followed was a truly sickening moment that sent shivers through everyone watching, as a powerbomb off the ramp to the concrete floor would strike on Diamond Dallas Page and leave him laying there unconscious and unable to move. Rollins would make his way up the ramp, but by the time he got there, Coren was long gone, and his fallen rival lay there. Coren demanded that Rollins bring the GOAT at WrestleMania, and having crossed the line for the final time, he may well get his wish. Well, now the question arises, with that week in the book, what is to come on the upcoming week, the final week before WrestleMania? Well, on Monday Night Raw, we will see them fight for the final time. Undertaker's final match on Monday Night Raw will take place, and he will face his brother in the Big Red Machine, Kane, in what I'm sure is going to be a mental night of action on the red brand. Elsewhere on the blue brand, we've got plenty to look forward to as well, as Becky Lynch and Shayna Baszler will have an interview with one another ahead of their Women's Championship match for the SmackDown Women's Championship at WrestleMania. What will happen between these two, as the mind games have gone back and forth over recent weeks? And in ring, we will see MJF, Tama Tonga, and Roderick Strong will collide in a triple threat match ahead of the triple threat tag team bout that comes our way at WrestleMania for the SmackDown tag team titles. On ECW, it will be a bombshell 6-man tag main event for the final show before WrestleMania, as the Revival and Aleister Black will team to face the trio of Evil, Sanada, and ECW champion himself, Tetsuya Naito. That is going to be a big moment, and that is what leads into our moment of the week to close out this edition of the Center of the Universe. Aleister Black would enter ECW with one eye to his name and run the gauntlet against LIJ, knowing that if he emerged victorious, he would get Tetsuya Naito at WrestleMania for the ECW Championship. He would make his way through Sanada, but it was Evil with a plan turned south, with a low blow forcing Evil a deliberate disqualification, and everything is Evil, and an assault on the referee and Black by Evil and Sanada. All that remained was Hiromu Takahashi to take full advantage of the situation. However, even with crowbar in hand, Takahashi could not take advantage, as a masked man would jump through the ropes and demand Evil and Sanada to face him. What followed was the moment of the week. Oh my God! Johnny Gargano! It's Johnny Gargano of all people! Gargano's chair! And if he can't challenge for the ECW title, you know damn well he's gonna make sure that Aleister Black can! We haven't seen Gargano since the Rumble. Since he was ganged up on by LIJ. And he's getting his sweet, sweet revenge. Get him, Gargano. He has longed for this since the Rumble. Finally, Johnny Wrestling's back. Goat Slayer on Evo. LIJ's plan is falling apart by the second. Oh, Sonata counters him. Sonata, he's fighting on you. Wait, no, Skull End. Skull End is locked in, but Gargano tells him to shove it. Gargano breaks out of it. Yes, Goat Slayer to Sonata. Listen to this place for the return of Johnny Wrestling. What a moment this is. Wait, Hiromu with the crowbar. Nice, yes. Gargano snuffed it. Eye for an eye. The crowbar into the face of Hiromu Takahashi. Johnny Gargano sends him back into the ring, and Black is waiting. The referee is on his feet. Do it! Black Mass! He hooks the leg. 1, 2. Aleister Black is going to WrestleMania! They thought they had it all done. They thought their plan was impenetrable, but they weren't banking on Johnny Gargano. A crowbar into the eyes of Hiromu. A Black Mass. And Gargano's reaction said it all. This means at WrestleMania, there's nowhere to hide. Aleister Black will face Tetsuya Naito for the ECW Championship, thanks in part to the work of Johnny Gargano.